Earlier when we looked at search, I pointed out the interesting fields section on the left-hand column here. There's also a section called selected fields. Here we have host, source, and source type. If you look in our search results, you can see that those selected fields are actually called out within the individual events. We can use these fields for filtering our searches. So if we click source type, we can select Linux Secure, and Splunk will add that field to our search query. Of course, we can also edit these. So I can change Linux Secure here to access, and Splunk will fill in with an auto-suggest access combined. If I search for that, we'll see just our access logs. And you may notice when you do this that it changes the results in the selected fields. Because the source type is restricted here, we only have a single option available here in our fields. Let's set that back to secure, Linux Secure, and search again. So this is a lot of events, and let's say we wanted to filter our search a little bit more. Say we only wanted to look at the times when the SSHD process was the one running. We could just click on the keyword and add it to search like this. And that should pretty much work. But a better option is to select the process from the interesting fields. So you can see here the process run is actually filtered out of our search results. And so we have the choice of SSHD, systemd, -lognd, or systemd. So let's select SSHD, and it's added process equals SSHD to our query. That narrows things down a bit further, but let's say we wanted to filter down even more, say to see when a specific user was trying to connect. Let's look through our search results. Here we can see an event that says session opened for user Sarah. Let's take that whole phrase, session opened for user Sarah, and copy it. And then we'll use the keyword and then in quotes, we'll put our phrase. And search again. Now here you can see just the logins for Sarah. Let's clear that and look at our log again. Splunk's ability to extract interesting fields from the secure log is somewhat limited by default because the log entries are not consistent. So you can see we're somewhat limited. We can choose the process because that's always in a consistent place. It's able to detect the PID because those are also consistent. But it can't pull out something like IP address or port. And without more complex syntax, in order to select a user, we have to do a keyword match. Let's go back to the other log and see how it does with a consistent log pattern. So change this to access combined and select search. This time we can go down to the interesting fields, and here we have a lot more options available to us. For example, now we have URI. So let's open that. These are the top URIs that were accessed on our web server. We can actually get another view of this if we click on one of these reports. So let's just look at top values. And here we can see a different visualization of that. It's a bit more interactive. You can also change the format and play around with this a little bit. Let's remove that section of the query. And we'll go back to our URI and just select the top result. Now, one thing you might notice in these search results is these are all errors. Our log generator actually has the ability to keep track of which pages are valid and which ones are invalid. So it'll give error messages for some of these. Something like index.php is a common endpoint that might be attacked by a malicious attacker. So that's why it's giving us a bunch of error messages when we look at the results. And that's a little more clear if we look at the interesting fields and then click on status. We can see the status values returned from our web page.